can't overthink. You got to take action in business.
I agree, which is something I learned more and more over time. As more opportunities and more things, come about, I got less gun shy, I should say.
We all have the best time ever to start a small business.
If I'm not going to be 100% in, I'm not going to do it.
Come on, man, just be yourself.
Yeah,
and just show up as yourself.
If you don't realize what I'm really about, I'm about freedom, family, and my country.
Riley, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Riley O'Toole.
Yes, sir.
Irish guy.
Irish as it gets.
Local, shore, Belmar. I like it. Funny story, how we met. Well, thank you for coming. Cheers.
Oh, thank you.
Before I get into it.
Congrats on everything. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Well, you were a piece of this podcast being built. You had seen that I was putting out some content on building this, and you just kind of threw a shot in the dark and said, hey, would you need some bluestone?
Yep. And
I said, funny, that's exactly what we're going to be putting down. And you gave us 2 pallets that was left over from another job that you have. And I asked you earlier, I said, what made you, reach out? And you said everything that you and your ecosystem seems to be doing, as well as the podcast, is giving back. So I figured, why not be a part of that?
Exactly.
Which was so cool. And then I told you I'm gonna give you some love, get you on the podcast.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and we're here.
You're one of the third. You're the third person, bro.
This is awesome. It looks great. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
Awesome.
The bluestone matched perfectly.
It did.
If you had 7 pallets, that would have really
helped.
helped.
That'd have been nice too.
But I'll take the 2. No, it was very kind to you, man. It meant a lot. Right away, I said, let's bring this guy into the system.
Sweet.
So, grew up in Belmar.
Yep.
Still currently in Belmar.
Yep. Still in Belmar.
Went to CBA.
I
had a lot of CBA guys on the show. A lot. Funny enough, I never graduated high school, but all these, kids that went to an elite high school are on the show. And I like it, though. They're all really good people, really all hardworking.
Yep. Awesome.
A lot of good guys, no good girls yet, but I don't know what CBA's policy is.
No, there might be some coming.
Is girls allowed to go to CBA now?
Maybe now.
Maybe? Girls,
sure.
guy. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
To be determined, right?
To be determined, exactly. We'll see how it goes.
So, in high school, how did you look at education and school? Did you thrive?
I did average. I did decent in school. Just wasn't a fan of it, really, to be honest. I couldn't really, sit in class for that long. It drove me nuts. But I liked school. I didn't mind going. But I always knew as I got older, probably towards, like sophomore year of high school, that I wanted to go out into the workforce, right out of school. So I was just real eager to get out. CBA did teach me a lot of things that, at the time you're sitting there, you're like, ugh. But, later on, you're like, all right, that was, important and glad I did it.
Great relationships.
For sure.
A great ecosystem.
Exactly. Big
that comes out of that.
Yep, everyone's helping each other. So it was good. I don't blame it. But
you said something that I totally resonate with, which is sitting still in school. It was horrible, and as much as math or reading and all these things are good for us.
Yeah.
That is not in your head, especially when you're somebody like me. I had ADHD, so I was like total hyperactive. But I think majority of kids are like, this sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Too much.
I hate sitting here. So I totally resonate with that. But maybe that's the motor that you have that has allowed you to be successful at what you're doing now. So as you're coming to the end of your high school career, your senior year, what was the conversation with mom and dad like when you didn't want to go to college?
I kind of was prepping for that along the way as I was, because throughout high school I was working, so weekends, days off, breaks, summers, I was working full-time doing construction, so they knew I had a passion for it, and that's what I was ultimately wanted to do. So when I told them that that's, I didn't want to go to college, it wasn't like, all right, you're not going to sit at home, play video games, and do nothing. They knew that I wanted to go out and do something other than that. And they knew it was in the construction field, that's what I wanted to do. And I said, I think I'm going to learn more going head on into it, learning in the field and sitting in a classroom, trying to learn something that I could just go hands-on and do. So they were very receptive to it.
Isn't that funny that that's such like a novice thought? Like, I think I'm actually going to learn more by doing.
Right.
Versus having some people who probably didn't succeed at doing teach me it and spend $100,000 to have them
I think that's
teach
part
me.
of the reason why I didn't like school as much, sitting there listening to the same thing over and over and over again, when I'd rather get my hands on something, try it out. I learned better with my hands.
Same.
Always.
Yeah, by doing.
Yep. So I think that was definitely the right route for me.
Yeah, and that's not the route for everybody, but I think it's the route for a lot more kids, and a lot of times they are guilted in by their parents. So mom and dad who are listening, I'm on your side. I want your kid to be successful too.
Absolutely.
But the things have changed. America got away from, it was like everything was going to like split up the dollar, lever.
Yeah.
Like that, we got to go back to like people actually working with their hands and doing things.
Right, yeah, it's a big void right now.
To see someone like you identify that at a young age, it shows, your self-awareness. It also shows how much you understand what's going on out there. And it's why I know you're going to be extremely successful. You already are very successful, but
Thank you.
You could probably go into a massive full-on construction company besides just what you're doing now. So talking about construction, I really like that. And I like that bit that we just went through. You worked for your grandpa.
Yes.
Your entire life, starting at what age?
I mean, probably as like 6th grade, it was, so I don't know how old you are in 6th grade, maybe say 10 years old, 6th grade. It was, he had my school calendar. You're off Monday. It's Martin Luther King Day. You're coming to work. And, I loved it. I loved going, so I never fought against it. So then it became every break, every holiday, and then full time in the summers till, school let out. The next day I was at work until school went back in. And that was enjoyable for me, and I loved it. I learned so much.
Hanging out with your grandpa?
It was
cool.
awesome. And he was my boss when it was time to be my boss. And then when we got back in the truck on the ride home, he was my grandpa. And then he gave me life lessons there. And so it was really cool. I learned a lot from him. And then, I told him, he was probably the first person I told about school. I was like, I'm not going to go. And he was like, listen, do whatever you want. He goes, I think you have a knack for this. He goes, you can do any career you want. You don't have to work for me. You can do whatever you want. But I'm going to teach you how to work and work ethic. And that's what he did. And super grateful for it because it was crazy.
Those guys are needed again in America. And
definitely.
It's whether it's me and my generation or the grandfathers that are still alive that are like my parents' age now who have grandkids, like drive that work ethic into these young kids.
Yeah.
We've gotten so damn comfortable as such a big nation who has been so prosperous. Like, we make up dumb problems. We make up this depression and all this shit that's going on. I'm not saying depression isn't real, but there's a lot of people who aren't really clinically depressed, and they make up these walls instead of just going to work like you did. And I mean, obviously, that work ethic your grandfather drove into you. It's a big part of your success.
For sure.
Dude.
I mean, everything I learned, the standards and the morals and the ethics that I have all stemmed from him, and that the values that I have in my company, the standards that we have, those all bled through for sure.
And you said your grandfather essentially raised you. Your pops, unfortunately wasn't around.
Yeah. So he was basically the father figure for me, for sure. And it was tough love all the time, which I'm glad he didn't coddle me and
tough love is needed.
Yeah, it was great. And and then COVID hit. He went to Florida, and he had a house in Florida. Went down there, and then shortly after he passed from cancer. But it was.
Very sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But everything was like, wow. I look back and I'm like, every single thing I did, even at the time, I was like, why am I doing this? Whatever. Thank God I did, and thank God everything that he did and the people that taught him and all that. Like,
yeah, it's a lineage.
Yeah, for sure. And it's awesome, and I'm glad that I can now do it, on my own. And
well, to be 23 and to have an established company here at the shore where you have a lot of contractors that are trying to win. I'm always amazed at the different builders I see all over. Today we were just driving down to Manasquan and I'm like, it's amazing, all the builders out here.
So many.
Which is a great thing because the trades have been lacking for a long time.
Yep.
And we need more intelligent American young men and women like yourself to go into these trades and take over. And dude, the ceiling is endless. You can turn that thing into an absolute monster,
Absolutely.
huge developer. You can go state, you can go nationwide, whatever it is that you desire, you could go chase
You can
it
do
down.
for sure. Definitely. There's a big void in it right
Huge.
now. Huge. You know, you look for an employee, it's a struggle.
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah.
You have all your boys working for you, which is rare.
I do. They are, shout out to them. They're the best. They all are my friends, whether it's childhood or from high school or friends through friends. So, you know, which can have some negatives to it, but ultimately it's positive. We built a culture where work isn't really work. You know, it's fun to go. We have a blast. We all bought into the system and the mindset and the vision that I had. They bought into it. And, I mean, the success is because of, you know, majority of what they do, for sure. If they didn't do what they did, then, you know, I wouldn't be here.
We had a conversation earlier talking about that. I think if all the men in the room can put on their big boy pants,
Absolutely.
there's nothing better than working with your friends and succeeding with your friends. And you know what? When you're not succeeding and it's hard, you're there with your friends.
You're doing it together.
You're eating
right?
ramen noodles together.
Yep.
And that's what the pit's about, and Fireside is about, and everything that the ecosystem is about. You know, I share it joking around like it's all essentially one wallet. It's not really, but
No.
you know, it kind of is in some sense, right? And to be able to hustle and grow something with your friends is super
it's awesome.
important.
It's really cool, you know, and it also adds like a nice fuel to my fire, you know, to
Want to make it for them.
Want to do it for them, right? Because it's like, you know, their families are also part of my life, like significantly.
Yeah, watching their kids, watching.
Right, you know, and how they, you know, how we move through life together, and it's like, I got to do it for them, and, you know, all the things that you don't want to do, you're like, nope, got to do it for them, and making the right decisions, and then they also do it back to me, you know, where they think it's like, you know, you're not wasting some dude's money, you know, if they make a poor decision, it's like, nah, they're held to a little bit higher standard because, you know, we're close and friends, so it's cool.
How many total guys?
We got 6.
6 guys?
6 guys. They
So
are the best.
Tell us exactly what it is that you do.
So we are a demolition contractor. Our niche.
Give us your name.
Coastline Cleanups. Shout out to Coastline Cleanups. We are a demolition contractor, but our specialty niche is interior demo. So full guts are our big specialty. Bathrooms, kitchens, attic levels, blowing the roof off, preps for additions, stuff like that.
Is there like a different level of like expertise, right? Because when I think about demo, I think about like the dudes on like, you know, the what's the home channel?
Like HGTV.
Yeah, like HGTV.
Yeah.
They're going in with the sledgehammer and they're just breaking shit.
Right.
That looks really fun.
It looks fun,
right? But there's probably a level of expertise, especially when you're blowing a roof off.
Yeah, you have to know what you're doing.
And that's just from your construction background?
Right, construction background. I know, you know, I can, you know, look at structure and understand it. I can look at drawings and understand it. Things like that, that's very important because demolition, you can do a lot of damage. You can get people hurt. You can waste a lot of money. And like we were talking about before, demolition is the first thing that goes on at a construction project. And there's a lot of negative thoughts around demolition, mess, danger, and, you know, the client and the whoever, the homeowner's nervous about it. And when we come in, it's making that first impression, you know, wow, it was that simple, it was that clean, it was that safe.
Yeah, no major issues.
No major issues, and that reflects nice on us, but then also the general contractor who's really working for that client because it then sets the tone for the rest of the project.
Do you work for a bunch of different GCs?
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
You'll give some love to some of those guys or girls.
Absolutely. States by Valerio, Josh Valerio. He's the man. He's helped me out in so many different
Josh has been on the podcast.
Yep.
Tell him I said hello.
Yep. He's a great dude. He's helped me out a lot. He was one of the first guys that gave me a shot. North End Builders, Dave Kinsel's the man. Woodbine, Justin.
That guy has built a ton of houses.
Ton of houses. He's great.
When did they go into business?
I think he said like 30 years ago.
30 years ago?
Yeah, which
I
is
remember like over the last 10 years, just like all over Belmar, you know, Bradley. Oh, we got little visitors. Hey, how you doing? This is Murphy, our latest puppy. Say hi, Murph. Hey. He won't go away. That's Hutsy, the old guy. They like to show up on set.
That's awesome.
Murphy, go get your brother. Don't mind our dogs interrupting.
That's all good.
Yeah, but I saw him building all over there.
All over, yeah. He's all over the place. He's great.
Do you get a lot of work directly just to you as well?
Yeah, Yeah, some homeowners call if they decide they want to GC the project themselves. A lot of real estate investors. That's a big one, especially in our area. People are, flipping, doing things like that.
Yeah, I can see the real estate investors.
Yep. Yeah, because, sometimes contractors, that's why.
It builds in costs.
Right, and they do it themselves, a lot of contractors. They have guys, if they're free, they'll do it themselves. I get it. They want to, save some money, do some things here and there. But sometimes real estate investors are people who are just looking to do something quick. They want, us to come in and do it professionally and get in and out and not have to worry about it.
What is something that you're trying to tackle, leveling that up at all? Are you trying to go into a commercial, style building where you're on top of a crane and you guys take that wrecking ball and swing it in?
Yeah,
That looks fun.
It does look fun. I would like to do that. Like Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball. But I would really want to go into full home wrecking. I'm at the stage where I can do it. I have done a little bit. But also I feel like there's a lot of guys out there who are doing that right now. You get a piece of equipment, you can sit in it. It takes one guy, a couple guys, and you do it in a machine. And there's a lot of big guys in the area that do it, and a lot of people are straying away from the hands-on stuff, and that's where I want to fill that void and really take over that. And I think we found our niche with that, and I'm really,
Yeah, you could do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can be the guy that's the hands-on stuff,
100%,
as well as the guy that's sitting in the equipment.
Yep, I don't want to turn it down. If it comes my way, I'm not going to turn it down, but for sure, I want to hands-on and then expand in that realm, for sure, yeah.
All right. Yeah. We're going to take a quick break.
Cool.
Then we're going to come back. I have some more future-thinking questions for you. We're going to jump into some political stuff. It'll be fun.
Nice.
Let's take a break.
Good.
Jumping back in. We like our breaks around here. Mm-hmm. You got to meet Mr. Christopher Egger.
Yep, good dude.
He's a big help, super generous. He did the first podcast here. So we got to chopping it up a little bit. I learned a little bit more. Most people don't know I don't script anything. I have nothing pre-planned. We just roll with it.
Yep.
Have a conversation just like two guys.
Yeah.
So partying, right? We're sitting here having a surf side. Mm-hmm. I got my workout in today.
There you go.
Ate grilled chicken all day.
You earned it.
Some people who are in business don't think that you should have any fun. Maybe that works for them. That's okay. But you're younger. You're 23 years old. I remember 23-year-old Ryan, out entertaining with clients. After the client entertainment left, then it was like real partying Ryan, because I was now meeting my buddies late night. Right. And then I was getting back up early, and it does start to slow you down. But what do you think about having fun with the guys that you work with and your other friends at your age? Because you're 23 years old.
Yeah. I definitely think that you need to have a good balance of it. I think one more than the other can definitely be detrimental to you. I think as time has gone on since I've left high school, I've definitely let loose more. I think in the beginning I was very driven, and I had this is what I wanted to do and everything, and I was very tight-knit, and I didn't let loose enough. And now, as time has gone on, go out, do more things, and it's definitely helped with the work-life balance, for sure. Like we talked about, the guys who work with me are my friends, so going out, watching Thursday Night Football, if tonight was the case, we'd go. And
could have went to my partner's tailgate.
Yeah.
He reminded me that at the game I should come up. At what time was that, Matt? He's like, it's Giants Cowboys time. I'm like, thanks for the call,
It's a big night too. It's a big night. Yeah. So I think going and doing those things helps, us build culture. If you fight in the morning, you get over it, you go have a drink together, and the next day it's, things brush over. But I definitely think you need to have a good balance, because I think if you do one over the other, you
can't be hammered every night.
No.
Out with your boys trying to run a business and be clear-minded. And as you get older, it's much harder to get up. And then you throw the kids in the mix. Right. But I do believe in letting loose a little bit, because although we're all here to crush, we have big financial goals for ourselves and for our family. Like, dude, you gotta live.
You only live once, so you gotta take it.
Yeah. I just heard another friend get diagnosed with cancer. Like, you just never know when it's your day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I'm glad that you're still being a 23-year-old.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to find that wifey, dude.
Yeah.
You got to find her at DJ's?
I got a girlfriend.
Oh, you
she's
got a girlfriend?
Great. Yeah, she's great.
What's her name?
Erin's her name. Shout out.
Erin,
she's taking a ride with me. She's great. But, definitely got to find that balance. But
it's not easy, but you just can't be an idiot with it.
No.
You got to have some fun. And some mornings you'll wake up a little bit more tired.
Yeah.
But you got to fight through. You got to, punish yourself.
Exactly, right?
Like, dude, I kind of had too much last night. Next time, stop 2 drinks prior.
Yeah, right. Definitely.
You talked about working with your grandfather, learning some life and wisdom from him when you got back in the truck, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you learned hard work ethic from him. What was some of the wisdom that he gave to you on those car rides home?
Yeah, so there's two things that really stuck out that definitely now I think about a lot. One is his number one...
That smoke's crushing you, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
No, it's all good. The number one thing was he always took care of everybody else over himself. You know, whether that was our family, you would never think the guy had a problem in his life at all. You know, at the dinner table, it was like everything was all good, you know. So he took care of those things, made sure everybody else was doing good over himself. Might even be his subcontractor, right? He didn't get paid on something that wasn't everybody else's problem. You know, they got families. He took them over himself, which I thought was very, you know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal to me, too.
It's admirable.
Like, definitely. And, you know, you can't do it alone, like as we talked about before. So everybody around you, you know, putting other people first, I think really is what takes you to the next level. And doing the right thing for sure.
I've talked about this before on the podcast. The first thing I wanted to say is the other day, Kelly had said to me, my wife and I have very honest conversations with ourselves, and I'm self-aware and she's self-aware. She goes, your vibe you bring into the house moves the house one way or the other.
Right.
So if you're super stressed at work and you come in super stressed and you're on edge, we're on edge, right? And a lot of times, and most of the time, my wife is great. She takes away the other anxieties that I don't have time to think about or deal with. And I try to bring that good stuff. My kids have no idea what mom and dad just spent on this house and this podcast set.
Yeah.
And, you know, the type of money we just spent. And we're like, oh, my God, we're not going to be able to have this house, right? And sometimes those thoughts run through your head when you're a business owner and you take big risks, if I'm being honest, right?
Definitely.
And I try to never let my kids feel that stress because I felt it when I was younger, and it sucks.
Yeah, you know, it's
a great lesson that he gave you.
Yeah, big. Very big.
The second piece of it is servant leadership and doing the right thing. For a lot of times there was, I don't want to say I had an entitlement because I worked hard, but I guess there was a sense of entitlement like, hey, you know, someone should help me out and someone should turn around and do this, which is what Fireside was really born on. I've always said, as soon as I make a couple bucks, I'm going to turn around and help a young guy like Riley, right?
Great, yeah.
And I never understood why more people didn't do that. So maybe there was a slight sense of entitlement, if I'm being honest. I don't really know exactly what it was, but my life and my career really took off when I said, I'm really going to help others, right? I'm in finance. We do a lot of pension planning. We do overfunded insurance. We help people understand their cash flows. That's a big thing that people overlook.
Big deal.
Money coming in, money going out, where it needs to go on your model, roadmap. We're never taught these things in school.
No.
And I thought, well, that was enough of helping. Well, that's what I get paid for, right?
Yeah.
But when COVID happened and I launched this podcast and started helping so many business owners, that's when my income took off to the next level.
Yeah.
And
it attracts like-minded people.
Correct.
And you all grow together.
Correct.
For sure.
Tommy, the last guest, said the same thing. He's like, what I was attracted to was, Ryan, you're handsome, number one. Number two, just all of you genuinely want everybody else in your circle to win. And that's rare. You can see the coaching groups out there. A bunch of them are bullshit. There's a lot of good ones too.
Yep.
The people who are genuine, and they may not have as many eyes, they may not have, you know, fake helicopters, but they're gonna you know, win in the long run because you're a solid unit.
For sure.
You're getting back to the basics.
Yeah.
Real friends, real people.
Real.
What was another thing that your grandfather taught you?
Another thing, let's see, really was...
We got to get a lot of these grandpas on the podcast.
Yeah, right?
They got a lot of wisdom.
I mean, I wish he was still here to tell some stories, but I mean, it was like, one of the other things too was, he was like, you can't be afraid, no matter what you do, you have like a level of confidence and know your strengths and weaknesses in life, and, you know, believe in yourself enough where you're not afraid of rejection, because if you're afraid of rejection, you're never going to take a step forward. And it was like, you know, you might make the wrong decision, you might wind up in a bad scenario, but you learn from that, and learning from that is a step forward.
Yeah, it's huge growth.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was basically, you know, he was basically just like, whatever you feel, take your passion, your morals, your ethics, what makes you a good person, and put that into what you're doing every day, and it'll lead you down the right route.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, take an action.
Absolutely.
Any person that I coach in the one-on-one or in the pit, it's just take action.
Yeah.
Like, don't overthink it. We talked about buying a house earlier. Like, I know asset prices are high, but like, I bought this house in a good market, and it's already been a benefit to me. I could refi this thing and suck $400,000 out in cash already to go to work. Like, dude, that's huge. If I just sat there scared and overthought it, this house would have jumped in price and maybe would have been outside my range at that time.
Yep.
So, can't overthink. You got to take action in business.
I agree, which is something I learned more and more over time. As more opportunities and more things, come about, I got less gun shy, I should say. Where it's like, let's do it.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You may trip. You may have to eat some ramen noodles sometimes, but you'll figure it out, dude.
Exactly.
You will figure it out, and now you're that much faster to solve the problem the next time. I always say to people, like, when you put your back against the wall, you start having to ask your brain the only question that matters most. Your brain is so intelligent, it blocks all the other bullshit out. You're not fighting with your family anymore. You're not fighting with some buddy over some dumb shit that you don't like his wife. You're not. None of that stuff matters, dude. You are focused on surviving and making sure this business has success so you can pay your lifestyle bills. And your brain starts to ask the right questions. So when you take that right step, it maybe puts you against that wall, but I promise you, you're going to go so much further a year, 18 months from now.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good take on it.
I want to talk a little bit about politics. That's a bit that we like to throw in here.
Let's do it.
Young guy in business. Have you been into politics? Is politics something you've heard your family talk about?
Yeah, family definitely, for sure. It wasn't very it wasn't pushed on me one way or another, but definitely was talked about. And then in high school really was, obviously the first time I could vote, which was Trump and Clinton. So that's kind of when I started taking more of a liking to it. And then as I started business more and more, I dove more into it. Till to now, where now I'm paying attention to everything that's going on.
Because it affects you.
Yeah, greatly. It affects everybody. But
did you always feel for one side versus the other?
Yeah, I always leaned conservative. For sure.
Why? What was?
Well, part of it.
And there's no right or wrong answer.
No, absolutely not. And I think that I really, because I had to work physically and work my ass off, I really valued the dollar and what was going into my pocket. And so, as all these big things, where you have to deal with people's feelings and all those things, those are important as well. But to me personally, what the dollar is worth and where it goes and how I earn it is very important to me. Because everyone works very hard for their money, and
not all.
True.
Illegal immigrants are getting like 15, 20 grand on an EBT card for free. They didn't work and do nothing.
Right.
I mean, I guess they came across Mexico and maybe some lakes and ponds. And,
it was a hike.
Yeah, I guess they get paid for that.
But so I really started to value, wait, where is that money going? How is that affecting me? It's not just a 30-second clip you see on the internet anymore. You can't believe anything you see. You got to dive into it. And
so $8 billion to Ukraine today didn't seem like a good investment with your money?
No, I think it's time that America's put first, and money's, we get back on our own 2 feet.
We have bridges falling down all over the country.
Right.
Roads, even around here, completely falling apart.
It's crazy.
The infrastructure as a whole is just so dated.
Right, and which is one thing that, you think about, because that affects everybody. And regardless of what party you're in, everybody's getting hit in the pockets, some way or another. Right, you don't have
trucks got to get to the stores.
Yeah, you don't have
goods
to agree
get
with
to
what
your
the
house.
fix is or what the bad part about it is, but at the end of the day, you look and you see, oh man, that money that I just worked for is
being wastefully spent.
Yeah.
Especially when you first come into business. Have you stroked your first tax check yet?
Oh yeah, rough.
Yeah, that hurts, dude.
Yeah, it hurts, and then it makes you go wait a second, what?
You're like, wow, this 20 grand, this 50 grand, what could I do in my business with that? Holy shit.
Right.
When you don't see your money going towards anything that really allows you to live better, I'm funding missiles that some dirtbag politician is signing that's killing some innocent person, whether it be Russians, Ukrainians, Palestine, whoever the fuck it is, like we're signing missiles and you're sending my money and you're smiling there for a photo op with Zelensky, like, fuck you guys. Like that's that drives me crazy, especially as a business owner.
It's rough, and then you think about, which I'm all for helping people, and that you got to do that as a human being. But then also at the same time, when you turn around and you need help, it's a lot harder to get.
Go around the world, dude. Look at their buildings.
Yeah.
Look at their roads. Look at their bridges.
Yeah.
Ukraine in 15 years is going to look better than America if we, stay on this track, as well as the Middle East. And it's, it's disgusting to see. And I hope we get the Big Don in. And again, people who watch the show or who may listen to this and be like, oh, this guy's a Trump or he's a. Nah, I love a lot of people. I really do.
Right. And if somebody else was in place saying the same things, right?
We just got to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
We all need to unite and just realize that freedom's most important.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be a trans, like I'm not really down with it. I'm not going to hang with you. Like don't be offended. But like once you're 18 years old or you're 25 years old or you're 35 years old and you want to do that in your private life, go do it.
Yeah.
Just don't push that shit on my kids. Don't put that in some minor's head. Fuck you. Why are you doing that? I'm taking us off track, but I get a little fired up as you could tell.
I'm passionate about it. It's all good.
I'm very passionate about it. What do you think about like the taxes you paid?
I mean, it was a lot. You sit and you think about, because in the beginning I really wasn't thinking about that end of it. I was thinking about, establishing myself and establishing, what we do and building and how do I get my name out there and everything and making money and how I can take that money and grow. And then all of a sudden it came around and you're like, whoa, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes right out the door. And then you think about, okay, well, so then if it's going out the door, what is it doing for me on the back end?
A lot of young business owners get into debt with the IRS,
right?
Myself included. It was, you're making this money, and you're like, I really can't put it aside because I gotta keep growing.
No, right? Because
like,
you said cash flow before. You need the money. As a small business, the money that comes in, you really need it.
And banks aren't like they used to. You don't go in with a nice suit with mom and dad next to you and go, hey, Manasquan Bank, more or less, Manasquan Bank, does do that, and they're advocates for small business owners. Thank you, Manny. But they don't do what they used to do. You can't just put the business plan down on a piece of paper. I mean, SBA rates are, Chris, what are they at right now? 14%? I mean, it's very high. And some of those rates are fluctuating if you're buying a structure with the business. That's extremely hard to do. So this money I just gave back to the IRS as a small business owner. And again, I do have more manipulation than a W-2 employee. It's like, it hurts, man.
It hurts. It hurts. It does.
It hurts big time.
It does. But,
So who do you want to win?
I think we need Trump. I want him to definitely win. I think that...
Do you think he will?
I have an inkling that he's going to. I think he's going to pull it out. I think there's a lot of media that, portrays him in ways, and that some people are just going to, believe what they see.
He's got imperfections.
Yeah, for sure. He's
Let's be honest.
Definitely not a perfect dude.
He's a 70-something-year-old guy who had a show that was based on firing people.
Yeah. But I think he...
that's a genius as well.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. He's definitely very successful, and I think that he also presents himself as a very strong leader, which I think we need with a lot going on in the world outside of this country.
Scary place.
It is very scary, and I also think that he really does have, a small business, people like us, like he does have us in his mind, and it's not just the people at the top.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people go, oh, well, he has crushed a lot of small business owners. Along the way, if you have a huge project going on in Atlantic City and he has somebody, in the Glazier Union putting out his windows a particular way, like he needs them done a particular way.
Yeah.
If you do them completely wrong and needs to redo it, he's not going to pay you.
No, right.
Any sensible person, especially in that type of size of contracting, is not going to pay you. And again, I'm not here to defend his bankruptcies or people he didn't pay along the way, but if you've been in business, you learn that like that shit sometimes is extremely unfortunate, but it happens.
But it happens, yeah.
I'd like to ask two questions. First question being, if you wanted to give some love to some people besides your grandfather, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Your mother, I'm sure.
For sure.
And who are some other people or people who have inspired you in the area or other mentors that you look up to you want to give some love to?
Yeah, definitely my mom, my sister, my girlfriend, my grandma, all the guys that work with my team, they're awesome. All the guys that gave me a shot in the beginning, Josh, Dave, Alex, all these guys who, took the bet on me. Also, the guys at the firehouse in Belmar. I'm a fireman at Belmar, so those guys have been very supportive and everything, and that's brotherhood separately.
I didn't know you were a fireman.
Yeah, so that was that's a good thing, for me as a young kid growing up. Them for sure, and then,
it's a lot of people. It's
there's
good.
a lot of people, all my boys, Jake, Colin, Brendan, Brian, all these guys who got local businesses around here. They're out there grinding.
Give us some of their business names.
JTM, Site Development, Extreme Green, Landscaping, Collegiate Landscaping, Prestige.
Extreme Green. What's that kid's name?
Colin. Great.
Colin.
Great
I think
kid.
I actually hired him to cut my grass when I first moved here. But
good
this
kid.
place, I realized quickly needed like a full-on,
big
large
van.
crew that kind of did everything in one. But I think that kid's very
He's a good
smart.
kid.
He's
He
gonna
grinds and
he's gonna be very successful.
I agree. I think all of us. I value the times that we hang out together and shoot the shit, and we're all about in the same boat. Kind of in the stage of our
Growing
business.
together.
Yep. So it's cool to be able to be like, share the same horror stories or good things.
Listen, tell all those guys get in the pit.
Yeah,
They want to win, get in the pit.
Yep. I agree.
You don't
I
want to
agree.
win. You think you know everything because you went to some college for Rutgers for fucking, plants.
Yep.
Get in the pit.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Come
I
win.
think, yeah. Definitely got to band together and grow each other for sure.
Second question: if you can give another young 23-year-old that's your age some advice to jump into business, what's the one thing you would tell them?
Let's see. I would think something that I always keep in the back of my mind that I think helped me and I think is pretty beneficial is I think the work that you do gets you like 95% of the way, your craft, and then I think the way you are as a human being, your ethics, your morals, the way you do business, the way you treat other people, if you're selfless or not, I think that's what adds that extra value and separates you from other people. And I think like-minded people recognize that very quickly. And so it's not about trying to just squeeze that buck from people and get that last dollar and get in, get out. I really think you need to, really value what you're doing and really care about what you're doing and show that passion. And then you get self-gratification as well, and you start to grow, and it makes the hard times not as bad. And I think it really separates you from the rest of the crowd that you're personally invested, whether it's money, emotionally, physically. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah.
To give your all to it, not just physically, everything.
Yeah, that's obviously something your grandfather showed you.
Definitely.
Well, dude, this has been fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
Thank you so much.
This is
I
cool.
wish you the best of luck. I
Thank
think
you
you're going to
as
be so much bigger if you desire than even
For sure.
doing what you're doing now, dude. So cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you for
Congrats
coming.
on everything. Thanks.
Appreciate it.